What's up? It's Robert from Existence First, Mental Training for a Modern World. In today's mental training, I'll be talking about how to increase your awareness. This was inspired by a quote that I read this morning from my Reality Transurfing book. The author, Vadim Zeland, writes, "A person's ability to control a situation is directly proportional to their level of conscious awareness." And I thought that was a great quote. It got me really thinking about awareness. And so human beings, I think, are already very much aware, especially when you compare them to other species. I mean, there is, at this point in time, only one species on the planet that understands that there's a virus going around. And that species is the human species, Homo sapiens, right? You can even get a little wild and come up with these thought experiments of, I mean, if an ant, little ant crawling on the ground, if an ant could think, what would it think of the human being? Like, what questions would it ask us? I think an ant would admire our command over our environment. Or an ant would say, "Wow, you guys have different words for like these different days. For me, it's just every day is just a day, right? With my little ant brain, but you guys have a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, like, wow, right?" So it's like you realize that humans are very much aware, and yet there's still room. There's many things we're not aware about. When I go to salsa class, my teacher tells me my shoulders are too high, right? It's like, as I'm doing the dance moves, like that's something I wasn't aware of up until that point, but then I become aware of it. Right? Sometimes we do confuse the days of the week, and we tell somebody else, see you on Monday," and the person says back, "Actually, no, Monday's a holiday. See you on Tuesday," and you go, "Yep, duh, I knew that." So up to that point, we weren't aware of it, but then we were informed, oh, Monday's a holiday. Now all of a sudden we're aware of it. So the question is, how do we routinely become more aware? What system, I'm big on systems thinking, what system can we put in place? What can we automate so that we regularly become more and more aware of everything, of life in general, right? Well, one thing is to take notes. I keep a dream journal, and it's very, very full. I mean, it's like, I would say I have like 3 paragraphs like every night for the last several nights. And it's crazy when I meet people that tell me they don't remember their dreams, or they just don't, or they say that they don't dream, which probably is not true. They probably dream and they just don't remember it. But here I am, I'm like logging all these dreams. I know last night in my mind, I know exactly where I was. I know what city I was in. I know what I was doing, who I was interacting with, what was the nature of that interaction. Was I leading? Was I following? All that stuff is important because that's psychology, and I think it spills over into your waking day, right? Once you wake up in the morning, because that stuff is in your subconscious. So anyways, I am aware of that, but someone else that doesn't do the dream logging, they're not aware of it. And will there be connections to everything? No, not necessarily. I mean, I could write down time of the day, and then I can keep track of some other thing, and there could be zero correlation between the two. But we need a starting point, and taking notes is one way to do that. Another way to increase awareness is just the awareness of our own biology. This is why pillar 1 of the Existence First philosophy is biological contingency. We have to realize that this whole experience that we call being alive is dependent on a fully functioning body, at least in the sense of brain, right? You need a brain that's working in order to experience this stuff, and then the brain in turn relies on the heart and the lungs. And so this dynamic system that's happening, without that you have no experience, right? It's not these little weird energy things floating around that are having experiences and then telling you about them. Like, no, it takes place in a person. See, feel that? Person, a biological organism, right? That gives rise to this sort of magical thing that we call like being alive, conscious, right? Awareness. Anyways, so what's another example? Death is an example. I made yesterday a video called Making Peace with Death, Part 2. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with like biology, right? If we know that we kind of are very much dependent on our biology, and we know that the biology is not going to work and function forever, then we realize that yes, death is a part of life, and so that's something we need to be aware of. And then maybe to end on a slightly more positive note, there's so many opportunities that are surrounding us that we might not be aware of. And so you meet someone and they have some sort of way that they can help you, and there's some sort of way that you can help them. So there's an opportunity there, but a lot of the times we don't realize it, we don't see it, and we're not aware of it, basically. And so what we have to do is bring all of these things into our awareness everywhere around us, right? So how is this connected to that? What is there an opportunity here for? So the last thing I'll say in this video is that questions, I think, are a very good way to guide this. So some questions you could ask yourself in any given day are, how is this an opportunity for something else, you know, or what's the hidden opportunity here that I'm not seeing? Another one is, what happened sort of in the background or leading up to this that made this good event or good result possible, right? A lot of times things like the good things don't just happen, boom. It's like a lot of times there was a setup that we didn't realize. Sometimes it happens by chance, right? The chips fall just in the right way and we end up with a good result. Sometimes it's a little bit more methodical. We took these steps, boom, 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 and we get a good result. A lot of times when I try to reverse engineer something good that happened in my life, I end up finding that in the days leading up to it, I made these critical decisions that I didn't think were critical at the time, but they turned out to fully account for the positive event that happened. A lot of times I'll be listening to self-help or something, and I listened to a lot of sales this past week, like Grant Cardone and Jordan Belfort, some really great interviews on YouTube from Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street. And one thing I did after listening to his things, I picked up the phone, I made a phone call, and that phone call later on in the week turned out to like generate this hugely positive result. And I didn't know it at the time. When I made the phone call, I wasn't like, oh yeah, my week's gonna get real good later on because of this phone call. That was not my mind. I was just sort of in this mode of thinking as a result of listening to that positive like seminar, and so that was outside of my awareness. But when I do my debrief of the week and I go back and analyze, then it becomes part of my awareness. So I think it's a good reason to reflect, to look back, kind of analyze, and then when the next day comes, it's time to boom, move forward, put it into action, and grow as always, grow as people, and yeah, move forward. So that's all for today's video. Until tomorrow, think deeply and put your existence first.